going on, Tactical Mother Flowers? Welcome back to another edition of Warrior Wednesday. Yes, I am back. As you guys know, I've been pretty busy. As you can tell in the last video that I posted about my Thai fight in Thailand, I have been extremely busy with traveling and with training for the fight and then getting back and traveling more. Like, I've been on the go, all right? Had a lot going on. So I haven't had the opportunity to really post things like every week, like I'm usually up to. However, I'm going to start getting back into posting more regularly. I cannot guarantee that it'll be every week, but as often as I can, I will be posting for the next while. Today's topic that we're going to be talking about is fear. Fear. The fear of combat, the fear of new things, fear in general. However, specifically, how to address and deal with the fear of combat. Any of you guys who have actual experience with combat in any form understand the fear that you're going to feel. Specifically, if you know it's coming, the fear beforehand, right? Whether that's going on a deployment, whether that's training for a fight, whether that's whatever it is, right? You know that you're going to go into a sticky situation that produces a lot of fear, right? The fear of death, the fear of getting injured, the fear of losing, the fear of you name it, right? There's a lot of fear that comes along, specifically with combat. You would be crazy if you didn't feel fear. And I want to give you some tools to address that fear so that you can mitigate it. And these are tools that I have learned over a long time of facing my fears again and again and again. And, going into sticky situations from time to time. It's not a really complicated answer on how we address these fears. It's not a complicated answer on how we perform better, even though we are scared shitless, frankly speaking, sometimes. It's exposure. It's literally just exposure. And if you talk to combat vets, right, a lot of the guys will tell you, like, yes, before my first engagement, I was like terrified or I had so much adrenaline, right? But the more and more and more and more engagements they become a part of, the less fear they ultimately had. And it's not to say that they don't have any fear, that you'd be stupid if you didn't, or just really angry. But the less fear there is, usually the more experience is involved. And again, it's not like a super scientific answer. But if you want to become less afraid of physical altercations and combat, you have to do it more. And again, the more you're exposed to all of this adrenaline, all of this fear, all of this, everything that goes along with combat, every time you do it, you will experience it a certain percentage less. And mind you, I only have, Thai boxing fights, I only have one so far. But I already feel like I'm training for my next one. I already feel like a little bit more prepared for the next one. It was the same with my grappling competitions. I was like very nervous the first time, and I was a lot less nervous the second time. It's the same thing whenever I have to spar now, like after having spent 6 months sparring almost every day, and doing a lot of it before that, I can tell you this, frankly and honestly speaking, is that especially when you know that you're going to do some hard sparring, you're going to be nervous beforehand. But I've noticed that every single time that I go back and have to spar again, I'm less nervous. And to now, it's honestly, I don't get nervous. Maybe a little bit, but really not at all compared to how nervous I used to get about it. Because sparring is hard. Sparring is hard, and you can get hurt, and it's what it is. But the more you do it, the less afraid you're going to be. And this applies with everything. But the secret to, when I remember when I was younger in my 20s, I used to get into street fights every now and again. I used to kind of be the guy that I had something to prove, right? And I remember that, like, right before it happened, I knew I was going to throw hands on somebody. I would get like super fucking nervous. Like the adrenaline would surge. I would have, classic like tunnel vision. Sometimes I'd even feel like I couldn't fight. Like I was just slowed down and like almost like you ever try to fight in a dream, but you can't, like almost like that. Um, but over time, like the more and more and more that I have fought, the more exposure and experience to it I have, honestly, the less and less nervous and afraid I become. The human mind is really weird in the sense that like all of these chemical processes do take place. And really the only way to mitigate them is through constant exposure to it. And again, this is for all kinds of fear. Like maybe you have a fear of heights. I fucking hate heights. I used to be a fireman. Before that, I was like a sailor on ships with tall masts that I used to climb up. And I'll tell you this, no matter how many times I go up high, I still don't like it. I hate it, but I do it anyway. And it's the type of thing where, like, what are you going to do? Bitch out? You're going to be a pussy, or are you going to do it? Right? You just do it. And the more and more and more and more you do it, like, I'm sure if I had to go up on tall fucking buildings every single day, I would become less and less and less afraid. Um, and again, this isn't always the best thing, right? Because sometimes you need a healthy dose of fear to keep yourself protected. But that's why they used to tell me on the ships that, oh, the guys who are super experienced are the ones who have a higher risk of falling is because like they're not afraid anymore. And that might be true too. We could apply that to all these different types of fear. But really, exposure, right? Adrenaline exposure to the fear is the only way, in my opinion, that you're going to tamp it down, short of maybe like hypnosis. And if you want to go and get hypnotized to like not be afraid, I don't know, maybe it's a good idea. I'm personally not going to do that, but I've thought about it, sports psychology therapy and shit. I remember I used to have a really big fear when I was first getting into jujitsu. Like I had gotten swept and like thrown to the ground a number of times and like gotten injuries from it. Like, and I remember after that for like years, dude, years, I was super afraid of getting thrown to the ground. I was super afraid of takedown training. I just like hated it, hated it, hated it. I would still do it, but it affected me very much in my wrestling and in my takedown training because I would even a lot of the times like throw myself to the ground when I knew I was about to be taken down to avoid getting an injury. Now, I've been training at a serious MMA gym for 3 years now. And so, between all of my wrestling and all of that, I'm not afraid of it anymore. I mean, it still is in the back of your mind, like, oh, I fucking hope he doesn't slam me too hard. But like, I mean, you do what you got to do anyway, and you get better at what you're doing by doing what you got to do anyway. That's the only way that we are going to improve. So how does this apply to a lot of us that say, well, I just want to learn about self-defense. Like I'm focused on just what if, just in case. Well, I mean, unfortunately, like you're going to be very afraid if you get into a confrontation. Many of you. The only way to mitigate that is to simulate getting into confrontations a lot through sparring. Again, I say this like I know some of you guys are older and you don't want to actually take any fights. I can't blame you one fucking bit. Like, I'm 39 and I'm fighting, and it's like I'm just beginning my fight career. I'm crazy. Like guys look at me at the gym where like they're retiring at early 30s to mid 30s, and they're like, "What the fuck is your problem?" But I think that most of us can agree that even if you are like 50s, 60s, like you can still spar, and you can still find guys to spar with you that aren't gonna like wipe the floor with you purposely and injure you. And every time that you spar, like especially if you're doing it the right way and not going like super ridiculously light, there is still that risk, right? And you will still be exposed to that adrenaline surge. And the more you do it, the less you will feel that adrenaline surge. The more confident and the more calm you will ultimately be in it. And in my opinion, I've said this since the beginning of the channel, and it's not popular because like a lot of guys want to sell you fucking snake oil, but I don't. I'm not, I want to sell you my products. Please buy them, gutterfightingsecrets.com. But like, if you don't, I'll be okay too. The only real way to learn how to fight and get comfortable with fighting is through fighting. Let's bring this to other areas of our life, like whatever we are afraid of, right? Maybe you're afraid of like verbal altercation. Maybe you're afraid of, I don't know, like name it, right? In your head, just name it. The only way to get past that fear is to do it a lot. Just face the fear head on and just do it. Like when I was in Thailand and I decided to take that fight, like I remember it was like a week after I took the fight. Like my coach was like, "All right, I'm going to call the promoter. Like you're going to be on. This is your date." I think it was May 18th. Um like, do you sure you want this? And I said, yeah, yeah, sign me up. And then he got back to me like a day or two later. He's like, all right, you're fighting May 18th. I think it was the 18th, May 18th. Maybe it was 28th. I don't remember. But I remember like a week after I took the fight, it hit me. And I was like, fuck, dude. I started becoming very nervous. Like I didn't want to lose, but also like, you know, I've seen like my friend got his tibia broken through fighting. I've seen other nasty injuries. Like I was like very nervous about it. And I remember like leading up to the fight, the pre-fight nerves were getting very serious to the point where like I was some nights, like shortly before the fight, I was having trouble sleeping and stuff. Like it was taking a toll physically on my body between training twice a day in the brutal heat, all the sparring, all of the cortisol that going through my like body and everything. Like it was taking a major toll on me, and it was an amazing experience. And it's not going to be my last time experiencing all that. Every fighter does experience that, especially, you know, being in Thailand, like the unknown. But I just kept telling myself, dude, like there's no backing out. You're just going to do it. Like whatever happens, happens, but you're just going to have to do it. And I'm very glad I did, right? I know a lot of guys. There's another guy that has an IG about, you know, fighting in Thailand. He's got like many fights now, but he was saying that before his first fight in Thailand, he almost purposely crashed his motorbike so that he wouldn't have to fight. It's very common, especially for, you know, foreigners in Thailand. Before your first fight, you just get super nervous because, again, it's Thailand. Anything could happen, and you're fighting a Thai. Like, shit. But all of that adrenaline, all of that cortisol, all of that fear just made me even stronger about fighting. And coming back stateside, I realize now just how much of a blessing all of that was. And I look back on my life personally, and I realize that every time that I've been super afraid of something and I face that fear, it's made me stronger. And they say scientifically, it literally does make your brain like stronger. It literally does make your emotions and your personality stronger. So, unfortunately, the only way to get past your fears is to face them and follow through on whatever it is that you are afraid of. Do it. That is the way that we conquer our fears, by conquering them. Face your fears, conquer them, and every time you will get stronger. And specifically about fighting, specifically about addressing that adrenaline dump that happens, you will have less adrenaline dump every single time. I promise you. That's the way to do it. The only way to get better at fighting is fighting. Until next time, please remember that you are your first and last line of defense. GutterFightingSecrets.com is the website. All of our online training packages are available there, as well as t-shirts and other things as well. Be safe, mother flowers, and I'll see you soon.